Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back for another MLB The Show 21 video. For today's video, I actually have a tutorial for you, and it's one of the most asked questions on the gameplay side of the game, and that is, how does pinpoint pitching work, and how can I get better at it? So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down for you how pinpoint pitching, the mechanic itself, works. Then I'll be giving you some tips that helped me get a little bit better at it and start painting some corners out on the field. So let's hop on over to the custom practice within the game. And if you are not using this, you really should. It is a great way to not only practice pitching, hitting, you can practice just sliders if you struggle against sliders, where you can pick up a slider a little bit better. It is endless of the custom practice that you can do, but you can use it for the sake of this as a way to get better at pinpoint pitching. So let's go over pinpoint pitching. This mechanic is broken down by pitch. Each pitch that you throw as a pitcher will have a different motion that you have to do on your stick to perform the pitch accurately. What you see here is all of the pitches that are in the game and the motions that go with those pitches. Those are all the pitches that you're going to have to study, get better at, and eventually perfect the motions of. But not every pitcher throws every pitch. So at the end of the day, you really only have to get good at the pitches that your current pitchers in the starting rotation and the bullpen are using. Along with that, every single pitcher themselves has a little bit different of a mechanic for their pitching. Some are slower, some are shorter, some go from the stretch, wind up, and that is something that you also have to get used to when pitching with this mechanic. But I can tell you, it is a pain at first, but once you get it down, you can absolutely dot pitches up around the zone. And if you played 20 and you had problems with hanging the ball up in the zone like everybody did, no matter if you had a great pitch or not, this mechanic is great at making sure you keep the ball down in the zone and away from hitters' bats. So what is the mechanic of it? So here we have Matthew Boyd. These are his 5 pitches that he uses: a 4-seam, a slider, a circle change, sweeping curve, and 2-seam. Let's say we want to use a 4-seam fastball. One of the easiest to do motion-wise, but I have found one of the hardest ones to get accurately for speed. So here is the 4-seam fastball, and this is what you will see when you select a 4-seam fastball in game. There's a couple of things to go over here. The first thing is the top little circle. What that circle is showing you the motion that you have to do. So if you're starting in the center, you have to go down, up, and then you're going to come back down for your timing, which we'll go over. The motion that you see within that circle right now is the timing that you have to match in order to get a perfect motion for the pitch. So that speed that you see that thing going at, that's the speed that you have to match to get it. The next thing you see here is in where the ball is located. Around the actual ball itself, you'll see this little black circle that's kind of low in opacity, see-through almost. That black circle is your par, or your region of miss for this exact throw. So if I was to throw a perfect pitch, perfect motion, perfect timing, perfect everything, the ball will not go outside of that par zone. So if I'm aiming it down here to the left and I throw a perfect pitch, it will not go outside that region around the ball. As compared to something like the sweeping curve here, where that region is much bigger. So even if I throw a perfect pitch, the ball is going to land in the zone somewhere in that region. And depending on how you perform the pitch will affect that region as well. Well, let's go back to the fastball. So we know this is where we're aiming. We know that's the region. We know the motion that we have to do. Now it's executing the motion. So the way that this will work is I'll start the motion down. Remember, matching the speed of what's being shown in the circle now. I'll start the motion down. I'll go up because that's the motion of a fastball. And then you're going to see this circle at the bottom and a bigger circle kind of shrinking in onto that smaller circle. That is your timing window. When those two overlap, you have to bring the stick down into that circle. And that is how you get your timing. If you are late, the ball drifts low. If you are early, the ball drifts high. Depending on how early or late you are, is how much of a drift that you will get with that. When you come down into the circle, if you're right inside the circle, the pitch will go exactly where you want it. If you're left of the circle, the pitch will go left of where you want. If you're right of the circle, it'll go right of where you want. So that is the total motion. We're going to go down, we're going to go up, we're going to hold it there, wait for the circles to close in on each other at the bottom of this top big circle that you see now. And then we're going to go down into that circle to get our timing and our accuracy. So we go down, up, circles closing in, timing. We'll do it again. Down, up, timing. So we were late, we were right, it drifted low, and right. Now, if you don't get the motion correct, if you are inaccurate on the motion, that par region grows. So the further you are away from the accuracy, the more wild you get. If you get the perfect accuracy, that par region stays small, and you just have to hit your timing and your accuracy of the pitch. Another thing that this gives you is complete feedback on the right. It'll tell you if you're going too slow. It'll tell you if you're going too fast. It'll tell you if you're slow. It'll tell you if you're early, late, left, right, perfect. And you can kind of adjust the way that you're throwing that pitch on the fly. So if we were to do this extremely fast, just down, up, it says too fast, down, but it still says too fast. You're going too fast. So then we'll just slow it down some. Go down, up, accuracy is 87. That's good. Green zone. So that's really good. And then you can see we got more accurate with that fastball. So use that feedback every pitch you throw to get that perfect tempo down for this specific pitch. But that's the easiest one. Let's do something a little bit harder. Let's do a circle change. Probably one of the harder balls to throw in the game this year. This splitter is really difficult. Sweeping curve isn't that easy either. Splitter probably being the hardest to throw because it's a motion that goes back and forth. It's a nightmare, but I still haven't figured it out at all. But I'm getting better at it, I guess. So what you see in the top here is the motion and the speed that you have to do this pitch at. You have to go up to the left all the way around, back up to the top, find your timing, and bring the timing down. So we have to go up all the way around and down. And you'll see that we threw it too slow, late, to the left. So let's speed it up some. Up all the way around, 99 accuracy, down. We were early on it. Because we were early, it drifted high. And because the par region is already fairly bigger with this, it drifted very high on us. But with pitches like this, you really want to use the controller's edges to make sure that you're staying straight on line. Don't hover it, because if you hover around the edge, you'll get something a little janky, and it could end very badly. So you want to make sure that you use the edges and do a nice smooth rotation around for all of your different pitches. It's like a slider stays on the edge. So we're going to go over, around, and down. Sweeping curve, same thing. Over, around, and down. You want to make sure that you're using the edge to make a nice, smooth rotation around the stick so that you can try to match that as best as you can. So practice the motions, use the feedback to get your timing right, learn the different pitch types for your pitcher, and practice, practice, practice. Well, let's say you have a runner on base. How does that change for when you're throwing your pitches? The way to really grasp that is, honestly, everything is just sped up some. The motion of the pitch is sped up some. And the timing is sped up some, because instead of coming through a long process to throw the ball, you're just throwing the ball, and you have to get that timing down there. But the thing is, that circle that comes up to show your motion, it shows you how much faster you need to go. And it even shows you how much faster your release down is going to be as well. That is all sped up, and it is shown how quickly you're going to have to release that ball. So if we have a man on first, we have Boyd still, we're going to throw a slider. You see the motion? That's how much faster it is. You get to the top, there's a brief hold at the top, and you're coming down. So the motion around the controller is faster, and the motion down to get your timing and accuracy is faster as well. But that is shown right here. And you can use that as a guide when you throw your first pitch with this pitcher. And of course, you can still use the feedback that's given too to make on-the-fly adjustments throughout the at-bat. So we're going to go over, around, down. It's a lot faster than what you are going to be used to pitching from a windup. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's just something that you need to practice and get used to for each pitcher that you use. There's no quick method to get good at it. It really just comes with using the mechanic. Another thing to keep an eye on while you're pitching with this mechanic as well is as you lose energy, as you lose confidence, that region, that par region actually gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's something that you need to look out for as you're pitching through a game. And of course, the more control you have on your pitcher, the more accurate you're going to be with those pitches. And finally, we have the slide step. So let's say that you have somebody pretty fast on first base. You want to make sure that you can get the ball in as quickly as possible so that they do not steal. That function is performed using L2 on a PlayStation controller, and I'm guessing it's left trigger on an Xbox controller. So what you're going to do is you're going to select your pitch first. In this case, we'll just do the four-seam fastball. With the man on base, the motion itself stays at the same speed. The only thing that is sped up is the release. Now, if I hold L2, it just looks over at the runner. It doesn't show you the new speed that you need to perform a slide step. But I have found that a good rule of thumb for a slide step is you do not really waste any time. When you complete the motion, you're going. So if we have this four-seam fastball right here, we're going to hold L2. You hold it too long, you'll look at the runner. But that's okay. You can still complete the pitch from here. You just start your motion. But that's a little difficult. So you have to be kind of quick with it if you want to do this. So we're going to hold L2 and immediately start the pitch sequence. And you're going to go the same speed motion for the fastball with the runner on base, but then we're almost instantly completing the pitch in order to release it as fast as possible. So hold L2 and do the motion. So we were a touch early. We can slow it down some. We'll try to slow it down some. It's a lot quicker of a motion, and the pitcher gets the ball in as quickly as possible, just if you're worrying about a runner stealing base, but you don't want to pitch out. You still want to challenge the batter. The slide step is the way to do that. The motion stays the same speed as if somebody's on base, but the release point is a lot faster. So let's try like a slider. We're going to hold L2 on PlayStation, go around, immediately bring it down. This stays the same, immediately bring it down. Overall, the slide step mechanic is going to be wildly inaccurate, but if you're really worried about a runner stealing on you, you can use it. I suggest you keep it to very simple motions, so change-ups, sliders maybe even, fastballs of course, two-seam fastballs, things of that nature. Try not to do too complicated ones, because the way that the slide step mechanic works is, since you keep the same motion, you really don't have enough time to even bring it down. It's going to be wildly inaccurate. So you're really not going to have any bearing on where that ball's going to go inside of the zone, because once you get it to the top, once you complete the motion, it is almost instant. You have probably under 1/10 of a second for some of the pitches. And it's just really hard to get a correct timing with it. So I would keep it on simple pitches if you are performing a slide step. And honestly, when it comes to the mechanic itself, that's it. I gave you some tips in there as well. Really what helped me was just not really changing pitchers out, kind of getting a feel for each pitcher that I'm using, getting a feel for each pitch type, and kind of keeping it in that range. I got a Shohei Ohtani, so I had a splitter that I had to learn, and I still don't know it, but I'm getting there. It does take time. This mechanic takes time. But the great thing about this mechanic is it keeps the ball where you want it. You want it down in the zone, it stays down in the zone. You want it at the plate, it goes down to the plate. It's very good for backdooring sinkers, sliders, cutters. It's just a very good mechanic, and you have total control over where that ball is going, specifically from the input that you gave the stick to give to the game. So if a pitch hangs, you know it was your fault. Your accuracy might have been off. You were maybe early. So you know why a pitch hung up in the zone. It's also great if you do mess up. Let's say you're throwing a ball down in the zone. You messed up the accuracy. Just make your timing a little late. Make sure that the ball gets way out of the zone. That way you don't hang a curveball, hang a changeup, get it slammed out of the park. You can kind of make adjustments on the fly in the middle of a pitch to make sure the ball goes where you're wanting the ball to go. I think it's a great pitching mechanic. I have thoroughly enjoyed it so far, and I suggest you just give it a shot. If you don't enjoy it, or just maybe you just can't grasp it entirely and you're playing bad, switch it off to something else. It's not an end-all, be-all of mechanics. You can use whatever you're most comfortable with. But I suggest you give it a shot, especially if you're grinding some conquest games or some moments or something. Practice up. See if it's something that you're going to want to adopt into your actual game once you go maybe online. And at the end of the day, it's just whatever you're most confident with. Go with that. But if this is something that you're wanting to get into and try, hopefully this gave you a little bit more of an understanding of the mechanic itself, how to use it properly, and hopefully the tips maybe help you out in getting better with it. Well, that's all she wrote. That's all I got for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it. If you did enjoy this video, if it helped you, make sure to leave a like on the video. Think about subscribing to the channel. More tips, more tutorials, rank seasons, BR, events, you name it. I'm coming out with it here for MLB The Show 21 on this YouTube channel. So think about subbing. I'd greatly appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and I will catch you on the next one.